It's been half a year since I married my best friend's sister, and we still haven't shared a bed. Furious, I called my best friend and said, I can't take it anymore. I want a divorce from your sister. Unexpectedly, my best friend was also crying loudly on the other end of the line. I can't take it either. Your sister and I are getting divorced tomorrow. Hearing this, I was stunned. I almost forgot. My best friend and I had each married the other's sister. Thinking it over carefully, his situation seemed a bit worse than mine. After half a year of marriage, he still hadn't gotten to know his own wife's body intimately. Unlike me, at least I'd seen a bit. I sighed and said with a sense of shared misery, buddy, let's meet at the bar. We'll find a place to drown our sorrows. I arrived earlier than Caleb, secured a table, took out some sunflower seeds, and started munching while waiting. No unauthorized copying from this bookstore. 5 minutes later, Caleb arrived in a sharp suit, waved his hand, and declared, let's drink. I leaned in, eager for gossip. What's going on with you and my sister? That's what makes us good buddies. I could ask him straight up. He raised an eyebrow and looked at me. What about you? What's going on with my sister? It's a battle of wills, neither giving an inch. I sighed deeply. She won't sleep with me. Caleb and I got our marriage certificates just 1 day apart. At first, I only knew he had a sister who was a doctor, but I had no idea what she looked like, until a client made me so angry my chest hurt, and I went to the hospital for a checkup. Caleb, playing matchmaker, specifically called his Ice Queen sister over. I was wondering just how beautiful she could be, but I was quickly proven wrong. The moment I saw Clara's face, my heart raced wildly. It was the first time I truly felt the stirrings of first love. She wore a mask, revealing only a pair of beautiful, distant eyes, but I knew perfectly well that every part of her beneath that white coat was dancing right on the edge of my aesthetic preferences. Afterward, I immediately asked Caleb to give me her WeChat. He said his sister was quite aloof, but I brushed it off, thinking I could adapt to any situation. Then, once again, I was brutally proven wrong. During the pursuit, I persistently tried to ask Clara out. Clara, the moon is so full tonight, perfect for a walk, don't you think? Clara replied a day later with a simple Frustrated, I launched an offline offensive, asking Caleb to create an opportunity for me to watch a movie with her. In the cinema, a horror film was playing. Clara calmly watched the screen, while I secretly counted down to the arrival of the terrifying scenes. When the people around us started screaming wildly, I pulled Clara into my arms. For this occasion, I had specifically worked on my chest muscles, certain they would tempt her. However, she struggled to lift her head, her slender eyes swirling like whirlpools, making me tense. In such a perfect atmosphere, I thought she would shyly thank me and bring us closer. But the next second, Clara stiffly pushed me away, frowning. Such a beautiful scene, why are you blocking my view? You even messed up my hair. How can I describe my expression at that moment? It felt worse than eating dirt. So, even I could fail miserably. I couldn't take it anymore, truly couldn't. Your sister is either frigid or just doesn't feel anything for me. I couldn't even snack on melon seeds anymore. I opened that bottle of liquor, determined to drink until I was drunk. Caleb sighed softly twice, clinked glasses with me in frustration, and said, I can't go on with your sister either. What a waste of such a pretty face. Her mouth must be equipped with venom glands. It's downright toxic. Caleb fumed. Didn't I buy a V-neck suit the other day? The one you said she'd definitely like? I took a photo and sent it to her, but she actually said it looked like something a male model at a high-end club would wear. Is there any male model out there trying so hard to please her like I am? I burst out laughing. Caleb was also a sucker for looks. He fell for my sister at first sight. We forced the issue, trying to matchmake them by sheer will. I thought their married life would be sweet, but it turned out to be even more bland than a nun's daily broth. Caleb's voice grew louder as he complained, and another thing, I just don't get it. Does your sister, as a lawyer, really have that many cases every single day? She's always holed up in her study. The place we talk the most is on WeChat. I'm starting to suspect she might have someone on the side. I nodded in agreement. I also think your sister has someone else. I was walking around in front of her in a skimpy nightgown, and she actually managed to resist pouncing on me. Last time, I asked her what flavor of baby condoms she liked, and she seriously said there was no hurry. You know, if a woman has no desire for a man, 9 times out of 10, she's just not interested. I'm furious. We're already married, and we still haven't shared a bed. 2 rotten women. Caleb patted my shoulder with deep resentment. Let's divorce. I'll do it tomorrow, you the day after. We'll leave the assets to them and go out to party. I was thinking the same thing. Both Caleb and I are people of action. The next day, we went back to get our household registers. Since he was divorcing first, I accompanied him to the Caleb family home. The old mansion was in Riverside. When we arrived, we hadn't notified anyone, thinking the huge villa would only have servants. We were stunned to see several wealthy ladies playing mahjong. I asked Caleb, didn't you say your mom was traveling? He was also surprised. She posted on social media just yesterday. Damn, if she finds out, she'll start lecturing again. No unauthorized removal from the study, I sighed. Be discreet. Do you know where the household register is? He patted his chest. I know. Mrs. Miller noticed us, her eyes lighting up as she asked in surprise, what brings you here? Caleb hastily mumbled something, pulling me into the elevator. However, after searching for a long time, he couldn't find the book. Unable to sit still on the sofa, I got up to help him look. Just then, Clara sent a message. Mom said you're back at the old house. After a moment's thought, I replied with a simple "Hom." Clara sent another message. Alright, I'll come find you after work. I'll ask the main cook to make your favorite sweet and sour ribs. I stared at that message for a long while. What's going on? Clara seems to be in a good mood today, but last night, she clearly rejected me. The thought of it made me restless. Last night, Caleb and I got drunk, and both she and my sister came. I had intended to bring up divorce, but I accidentally fell asleep on the way back. When I woke up again, Clara was helping me take off my clothes. She rarely showed such care toward me. At that moment, the alcohol had fully taken hold, and the sight of her slender, pale fingers blurred my vision. I grabbed her hand and placed it over my heart, resorting to my old tricks again. Clara, I said pitifully, my heart races whenever I see you. Could you check it for me? As I spoke, I leaned closer into her embrace. Her breathing hitched. Lie down first, it'll be over soon, she whispered, her warm breath brushing against my ear, sending tingles through my entire being. So I began to undress. My jacket was tossed aside, and the white shirt underneath, half soaked by Clara's earlier mishap, clung tightly to my body, outlining the defined contours of my abs. Struggling to breathe, I popped open 2 buttons, feeling immediate relief. With hazy eyes, I looked up at Clara. Haven't we skipped the wedding night? The distance between us was intimate, charged with an electricity that could ignite passion. Clara seemed momentarily stunned. I took her hand and guided it to my waist, coaxing it upward, thinking we might take things all the way. But she snapped back to reality, stopping my hand from unbuckling my belt. Liam, you're drunk. Stay put, I'll make you some hangover soup. I froze, completely missing the gentleness in her words. All I saw were those slender eyes, devoid of any trace of desire. Clara truly felt nothing for me. My burning heart plummeted straight to the depths. Recalling the awkward scene, seeing the chat records now only made me more irritable. I turned off my phone, warning myself not to pay her any mind. Just then, the door opened, and Mrs. Miller peeked her head through the crack, asking, looking for something. Caleb frowned deeply, clearly annoyed, and blurted out, looking for the household register. Something was wrong. The whole family was in turmoil. The mahjong ladies left the living room. Mrs. Miller sat us both down on the sofa, eyeing Caleb with a wary look. Are you getting a divorce? Caleb knew he couldn't hide it anymore, so he feigned calmness and nodded. It's just not working out. Mrs. Miller gritted her teeth, scolding him with a tone of disappointment. Back then, it was you who begged and pleaded with me to bring you two together, saying you'd only ever want Ruby in this lifetime. What's all this fuss about now? I couldn't help feeling a bit guilty myself. After all, it was me who went all out to charm Clara back then. Who knew she didn't like me? I hated that I wasn't Sun Wukong, otherwise, I'd have transformed into whatever she liked sooner or later. Caleb sighed in frustration. A forced melon isn't sweet. Ruby doesn't love me at all. It's just. As the words fell, a tall, slender figure appeared. My sister Ruby arrived in a flurry, her usually immaculate and refined lawyer's appearance now disheveled, her expression anxious. She approached Caleb, her tone stiff. You want a divorce? Everything was fine, why get a divorce? Once the family group chat lit up, everyone rushed over. Seeing Clara striding in on her high heels, I curled my lips slightly. Her demeanor was cool as she walked up to me. I subtly stepped back. Noticing my grim expression, she leaned in and asked, "Are you feeling unwell?" I remained silent, holding on to my last shred of dignity. The atmosphere grew tense. Ruby frowned deeply, trying to reach out and grab Caleb, but he shook her off. There's nothing more to discuss. I've already made my decision, he snapped, glaring at her. Go spend your life with your cases, Lawyer Ruby. With that, he picked up the household register, slung an arm over my shoulder, and made to swagger out. Clara promptly pulled me back, her tone grave as she finally spoke up. Brother, marriage isn't a game. And don't drag Liam into this mess of yours. Caleb chuckled at that, giving his sister a look of utter exasperation. Why are you lecturing me? You're about to get divorced too. As soon as he finished speaking, everyone's eyes turned to me in unison. Faced with the barrage of questions, I could only clear my throat softly and murmur, she doesn't love me. Seriously, I can't exactly say she not only doesn't love me, but even looks at stray cats with more affection than she looks at me. That would just make me seem desperate for love. As soon as I finished explaining, Mrs. Miller, appearing out of nowhere with a feather duster, struck Clara hard on the back. She held back some force, but the slap still landed with a loud crack. What did I tell you? She fumed, her tone full of disappointment. I told you, you workaholic, to take the initiative. And now look, your husband's about to leave you. Mrs. Miller scolded Clara furiously, then turned to me to plead her case. Clara's never been in a relationship. Before you came along, she hadn't even been around a male mosquito. Please think it over again. If she doesn't change, I'll personally introduce you to other women. Caleb wasn't having it. Your daughter doesn't seem inexperienced, she seems like a cold, emotionless robot. living like an 80-year-old man at her age. Liam would only end up in tears with her. This can't just be brushed aside. I silently gave my good buddy a mental thumbs up. Clara pursed her crimson lips, an unfamiliar look of guilt surfacing on her strikingly beautiful face. She reached out to take my hand, about to say something, but I recoiled 3 steps back. Hold my hand, that's extra. The room fell into silence once more. Ruby couldn't help but let out a light cough. I shot her a warning glance. Ruby, I'm not saying this lightly. If Caleb doesn't want you, you should really reflect on yourself. With that sharp tongue of yours, even a passing dog would get kicked twice. You're destined to be alone. Caleb raised an eyebrow, secretly giving me a thumbs up. Mrs. Miller clutched her chest, sighing heavily. Clara, if you can find someone to grow old with, you should count your blessings. Feelings need to be nurtured, they don't just fall from the sky. My mom also tore into Ruby over the phone, giving her a thorough scolding. An hour later, Clara and Ruby were still standing obediently in place, taking the verbal lashing. I thought they had finally given in, but then they both insisted that divorce requires a 30-day cooling-off period, demanding we give them a month to make amends. There was no way around it. After we got married, all our assets were under their control. Clara, shedding her usual aloofness, approached me earnestly and said, Liam, I admit it was my fault for being too busy with work lately and neglecting you. As Mom said, I've never been in a relationship before and don't know how to love someone properly. But rest assured, I will make every effort to improve and promise to love you well from now on. Those sapphire cufflinks you mentioned liking will be delivered to you soon. Take this card. If you see any auction pieces you fancy in the coming days, just use it. I was taken aback, still processing Clara's flawlessly delivered speech. Not to be outdone, my sister smoothed her stray hair and turned to Caleb. Caleb, I admit I've let my professional habits get the better of me. I've grown accustomed to sharp remarks, but those weren't my true feelings. Whether you believe me or not, I was just being contrary. Here's a card for your spending money. Didn't you mention wanting to buy a Ferrari for fun? I'll arrange it for you soon, as long as you calm your anger. Then, both of them gazed with profound affection, as if pouring a lifetime of devotion into that moment, declaring firmly, we absolutely refuse to agree to a divorce. The 2 cards lay before us, gleaming with temptation. Since handing over the money, all we had left were our meager salary cards. Caleb and I exchanged glances, both seeing a glint of gold in each other's eyes. Everyone was waiting for our reaction. My heart itched with desire, but I didn't want to lose face. A thought flashed through my mind, and I swiftly took my sister's card. Did you think Caleb would care about such petty compensation? Catching on instantly, Caleb snatched his sister's card just as quickly. This amount isn't even enough to fill Liam's teeth, he said, clutching the card the moment it touched his hand, as if fearing they'd ask for the money back. We slung our arms over each other's shoulders and hurried out, walking in sync. After a few steps, we glanced back to make our stance clear. We're not the type to be bought off with just a few measly coins. Late at night, in my private villa, Caleb and I swapped the cards we'd received. After a silent 2-second stare, I chuckled, never would have guessed your sister's so generous. Caleb smiled back, never would have guessed yours isn't stingy either. On the open-air balcony, we cozied up on the sofa, poured wine and clinked glasses, happily watching the game. As we watched, Caleb propped his chin and looked over. But how much compensation did they give you? I grinned mischievously, you tell me first. Caleb gave me a look of utter exasperation, got up from the sofa, and returned with a velvet box in hand. Opening it, inside was an exquisite, dazzling metal watch. Your mom had the butler send this to me. Not to brag, but she really has good taste. I'll get you one later too. What did your mom give you as compensation? I took out my phone and showed Caleb the message, saying they were setting up a wine shop for me. After finishing, I corrected him, what, your mom, my mom? That's our mom. Caleb paused, then nodded, yeah, right. Just then, my phone dinged. Clara had sent a message. Surprisingly, she asked if I'd eaten, saying she'd made my favorite sweet and sour ribs, her first time cooking. The photo also showed the dining table, lonely and empty, with only the ribs gleaming a bright red, coated in rich sauce. Even through the screen, they looked delicious. I stared for a moment, then withdrew my envious gaze, not intending to reply. Unexpectedly, Clara directly sent a bedtime photo revealing her collarbone. Before I could open it, she withdrew it. Clara sent a message, sent by mistake. I replied unhappily, if it's a mistake, then it's a mistake. Who cares to look? I turned off the screen and noticed Caleb had fallen asleep. I planned to fetch a thin blanket to cover him. His phone kept buzzing incessantly, so I simply muted it. As I changed clothes and was about to get into bed, my phone rang again. I didn't realize it was a video call and accidentally tapped to answer. When I looked again, a vast expanse of spring scenery flooded my view. The room was dimly lit. My little cat, Piper, with its soft, adorable paws, was stepping on Clara's waist and let out a gentle meow toward me. However, as my gaze shifted to those fair thighs and full bosom, I was stunned. Clara was trying to seduce me. On the video call, Piper seemed to sense I was watching and tactfully climbed down from her, accidentally pulling down the strap of her nightgown along the way. This perfectly revealed her stunning curves. I feel like I'm about to get a nosebleed. It's really not much different from the last time I accidentally walked in on her showering. Slender waist, long legs, curves in all the right places. My heart started pounding uncontrollably, and I stared for a good while. Clara suddenly looked over, her tone tinged with amusement. Liam, is it nice to look at? Our eyes met, and I guiltily widened mine, stammering, who's looking at you? I'm watching the cat. She chuckled softly, her expression gentle. Oh, is that so? Did you see the picture I sent you? Piper hasn't been eating well. That was a few hours ago. Clara had sent a video of Piper eating, with a message saying, she doesn't have much appetite when you're not here. Maybe she misses you. In the clip, Piper gazed at me with pitiful eyes. She sure cares about Piper. Anyone who didn't know better might think she missed me. Playing along with her unspoken words, I said, I'll come pick her up in a few days. Clara fell silent. Just as I was about to hang up, she suddenly spoke in a low, unnatural tone. What about me? My phone was about to die, so I scrambled for the charger and blurted out, what about you? Thinking she was still talking, but she had already gone quiet. For several days in a row, Clara changed her usual style and kept trying to get my attention, but I completely ignored her. After the auction, I started focusing on the wine business. On the day the sapphire cufflinks arrived, various. I replied, 10,000 per question. She transferred the money instantly. Wow, what do you want to ask? Ruby sent a message, what has Caleb been up to lately? He hasn't replied to my messages. I smirked and replied, oh, him. Lately, the company has him mentoring interns, and he's getting along really well with a junior girl. Turns out younger ones really know how to sweet talk. Caleb's completely charmed. Ruby didn't believe it and replied, bullshit. Every time he comes back, he says that intern is so immature it's unbearable, no one would date someone younger. Ruby seemed a bit shaken and fell silent for a while before asking, is he lacking anything lately? I'll buy it for him. I chuckled to myself. Buy what? Stop beating around the bush. Just send him money. All the cash is with you anyway. She went quiet again. Just then, Caleb called me, so I stopped paying attention to her and headed to the break room. On the phone, Caleb was laughing his head off. Buddy, guess what? My sister just video called me asking how your wine business is going. I said it's fantastic. 2 or 3 wealthy investors have been treating you to dinner every day, living the high life. You should have seen her hopeful expression. It just plummeted and shattered. First time I've ever seen my sister look so constipated. So satisfying. What a good buddy you are, spinning tales like a pro. I told him my sister had just messaged me with similar questions, but Caleb's laughter quickly faded. After a 2-second pause, he snorted coldly, exactly. Let them know we've got our pride too. That's the spirit, Liam. But I couldn't back down either. After all, Caleb and I had a bet going. I've always been a man of my word, though unfortunately, my mom asked me to bring Clara home for dinner. That night, we almost lost control. It was still raining outside, the weather slightly cool. I had just taken a shower, yet my whole body felt unbearably hot. Clara had also just bathed, wearing a silk nightgown. Drops of water from her damp hair trailed down her collarbone, dampening the fabric between her breasts, which were full and softly rounded, pale and luminous. It seemed I was both a sucker for beauty and a slave to physique. My gaze felt thick and sticky, as if glued to her. Clara looked puzzled. Liam, what's wrong with you? Piper, whom Clara had brought back to the old house, was curled in her arms, its round eyes blinking at me. Clara occasionally stroked its head, and it purred contentedly, eyes half closed. My heart was restless. Seeing this, I blurted out without thinking, who's your husband? Why are you holding it? Hold me instead. My voice might have been a bit too loud. Clara froze. Piper let out a startled meow and scrambled out of her arms. Raindrops pattered against the windowsill, cascading down like a beaded curtain. It dawned on me belatedly, my face flushing hotly as I hurried toward the bedroom. It's so warm, I need to turn on the AC and sleep. I had intended for Clara to sleep in the living room, but my brain short-circuited and I forgot to close the door, allowing her to slip in smoothly. She even climbed onto the bed and wrapped her arms around me. I struggled. Clara used brute force to pin down my hands, her tone carrying an unfamiliar note of grievance. Liam, you said you'd give me time to change, but I never got a chance to talk to you. You never replied to my messages every day. I was really anxious. I admit, over the past 6 months, I've neglected you a lot. The hospital has been incredibly busy, but I've been trying to find ways to make it up to you. I was planning to take a proper vacation in the latter half of the year and take you traveling. I never expected you just leave me. She buried her face silently against my neck and shoulder, her warm breath brushing against my skin. I felt like I was about to be scorched. Could you please get off? It's sweltering. Just then, Piper appeared and rubbed against my pant leg. Clara took the opportunity to scoop her up. See? While you were gone, Piper missed you so much. I missed you too. Piper obediently nuzzled her head against my cheek. I stared at Clara's aggressively sharp face, my mind going blank. Wait, my brain's booting up a bit slow, need to reboot. Okay, system's online now. So, under her expectant gaze, I met her eyes and sneered, oh really? How much do you miss me? Take off your clothes and show me. Clara fell silent, her thick eyebrows furrowed as if she was stunned. The air conditioning didn't seem to ease my restlessness, so I simply threw off the blanket. Clara, do you really not know, or are you pretending not to know? Clara looked bewildered. Know what? I sneered and asked her, have you ever liked me? All this time, it's just been me trailing behind you like a devoted fool, providing emotional support. When we got our marriage certificate, you looked so happy in the photo. I thought we were both heading toward each other, bathed in light, as if our future was radiant. But you wouldn't take off your clothes, and your affection was just an act. Clara held me tightly in her arms. I love you, Liam. The scent of the same shower gel finally mingled, and I lost myself. The grievances piled up and my heart poured out. I pushed her away angrily. Then why won't you let me touch you? We're husband and wife, yet you make me feel like a mistress. Sleeping with my own woman requires bathing in incense and picking an auspicious day, and even that's not enough. You reject me every single time. As I spoke, the anger in my chest flared up uncontrollably. Ever since that drunken night, I had vowed not to get angry again, especially not because of Clara. But now, I could barely hold on to my limits. Clara, get out. We both need to cool down. I turned my back, frustrated, and began unbuttoning my pajamas. Clara finally realized something was wrong with me. You drank the chicken soup Mom gave you tonight. I didn't know it was special. I just drank it because it tasted good. Clara reached out to feel the temperature on my face, her voice urgent and tinged with a hint of huskiness. Liam, do you need to go to the hospital, or do you want me to help you? Though she asked, Clara's fingertips stealthily slipped into my collar. My fists clenched, my Adam's apple bobbed, and my breathing slowed to a crawl. I don't know how we ended up tangled together afterward, but I realized I didn't know Clara as completely as I thought. Like now, I never knew she could be like this. Those hands, so accustomed to holding a scalpel, were dexterous and methodical, yet so wildly unpredictable they nearly made me surrender. I used to joke about what those hands could do besides wield a blade. Little did I know I'd get an answer so soon. Afterward, my back was soaked with sweat, and Clara still found the breath to explain why she'd kept me at bay before. Xiao Rong said you don't like kids, and condoms aren't foolproof, so I planned to get an IUD procedure early on. I just couldn't find the time until the last 2 months. As she spoke, she picked up the pace, as if annoyed. I was just about to tell you, and then you wanted a divorce. Didn't even give me a chance to surprise you. If you'd said you wanted me to cherish you sooner, I'd have cherished you like tonight. The next moment, seeing her kneel halfway down, my eyes widened. I grabbed her soft hair. Are you out of your mind? Clara was alluring, her hands moving too slowly. The sound of our lips and teeth mingling amplified in my ears. A vein bulged on my forehead as she guided my hand downward on her own. Before I could gather my thoughts, Clara leaned in and kissed me, her voice hoarse. Your things, I'm returning them to you. My mind was filled with images of Clara's seductive, silk-like gaze. I texted Caleb, I suspect your sister signed up for some improper courses. He replied with a voice message, his voice also a bit raspy. I think my sister signed up for courses too. Just after listening, the door was pushed open. Clara showed me the IUD procedure form. Her gloom had lifted, replaced by a refreshed, satisfied look. With the misunderstanding cleared up, can you forgive me now? I suddenly remembered the bet with Caleb. If I forgave Clara first, I'd lose. Hesitating over how to respond, Clara cupped my face and kissed me. It was a peach-flavored kiss, tender and soothing, leaving my whole body tingling. By the time I reacted, Clara unexpectedly nibbled on my finger. I was stunned. What are you doing? Clara looked innocent, just licking her hand. Why weren't you angry last night? The tingling from her fingertips spread all the way to my tailbone. I was speechless. No, she's such a closet pervert. 10 minutes later, Clara was momentarily downcast because of a careless remark I made. Seizing those few seconds, I made a swift escape. I'm not going to answer her question about forgiveness, at least not until a month later. But it was strange. Recently, Caleb had rarely been accompanying me. The key point was, he also seldom returned to the villa. That morning, I seized the chance to ask him if he went to work by himself every day. Caleb snorted coldly, putting on an act. I'm not useless. Can't I go to work on my own? As he said this, he clenched his fist and thumped my chest, pushing me out the door. Don't you have supply chain matters to deal with? Hurry up and go. Strange, too strange. Usually, the driver was only absent when my sister was with him. Could they have reconciled? Impossible. How could he be even more spineless than me? Just then, my assistant called to say someone was looking for me. I didn't dwell on it further and completely failed to notice that shortly after my car left the garage, a familiar Panamera pulled up at the entrance of my villa. When I arrived at the scene, I never expected the person my assistant mentioned to be Clara. Honestly, she's been haunting me like a ghost, persistent as ever. Now, she had her driver hauling in bags of gifts to bribe my employees. From a distance, I could hear her voice rising with enthusiasm as she replied, My Liam is handsome and capable, marrying him was like saving the galaxy. He's just been so busy lately, no time to spend with me, so I had to come keep him company. I immediately went over and grabbed her arm. Don't you have work? Clara said seriously, I took a special leave. If I don't chase after him now, I might lose my husband. Her tone lifted as she whispered in my ear, making my heart flutter unsteadily. Her gaze suddenly fell on the wealthy investors inspecting the site not far away. That's one of the ones you have dinner with every day. What? I finally remembered what Caleb had said and could only sigh, trying to smooth things over. Yeah, Clara hummed, she doesn't look that great anyway. Why not have dinner with me instead? I can make your favorite sweet and sour ribs. You should know, I rarely cook. Well, should I thank you for that? The investor saw me and gave a slight nod with a smile, about to speak when Clara immediately stepped in front of me, extending her hand to introduce herself. Hello, I'm Liam's wife. We're very much in love. There's no room for a third party. The investor looked bewildered, glancing at me and then at Clara. I know, Clara. I've heard about you many times. Clara's guarded expression softened into a hint of pleasure. Did Liam tell you? Not exactly. Clara's smile faded, but it's all related to you. Her smile returned as her gaze fell on the investor's outfit, her eyes lighting up with praise. Liam mentioned the investor has great taste, and now I see it's true. Your style is impeccable. This bag paired with the scarf adds such charm. I must pick your brain on fashion tips sometime. I was speechless, wondering how to get this Buddha to leave, when I suddenly spotted Caleb approaching. Panicking, I tried to hide Clara in the warehouse. Your brother's here, quick, hide. Clara looked exasperated. Why should I hide from him? With that, she boldly started to walk out. I pulled her close, planted a kiss on her cheek, and warned her to behave. We weren't back together yet. Her gaze deepened as she turned her face for another kiss. I gave in helplessly, but she held me tight, deepening the kiss before slipping away into the warehouse. Caleb had come to ask for my advice on golf clubs. We strolled around the mall several times, with Clara trailing behind, occasionally sending sarcastic texts like, "You two seem so close, I'm starting to ship you." I couldn't help but chuckle and typed a reply. Caleb glanced around. I feel like someone's following us. Guilt washed over me, and I rubbed the back of my head. No way. That disobedient Clara. I told her not to tail us. But soon, I sensed something was off. Caleb, I think I just saw my sister. Caleb was also texting when he froze at my words. Impossible. She must be handling a case right now. I narrowed my eyes and reminded him coldly, don't tell me you forgot our bet. He looked utterly exasperated. Of course not. It's settled. Whoever caves first does the other's stinky laundry for a year. My heart raced anxiously. Damn it, my ID must not be discovered. Thinking of this, I recalled another matter. But speaking of which, when did you tell your mom that I don't like kids? What's that about? Caleb looked up, pondering for a long moment. Oh, I remember now. Back in college, we saw too many social media posts about SP. You said childbirth was too painful for women and you'd consider being child-free in the future. But you were just saying it casually, right? I even remember you talking about getting a vasectomy. How does my sister still remember this? At this point, he raised an eyebrow as if uncovering a secret. Could it be she noticed you back then? You were always hanging around my house during college. If that's really the case, this question had been lingering in my mind for a long time. Only after the wine event concluded did I have the energy to pull Clara, who had come to visit, aside and corner her in the office. Confess honestly, when did you start liking me? Clara didn't hesitate at all. Probably when you told my brother that if you liked me, you'd just go for it. It took me a good while to process what she meant. Disbelieving, I asked, when did I ever say that? She cupped my face and kissed me, joking, actually, I noticed you back in college, but then I went abroad and we couldn't cross paths. I never thought we'd meet again after I returned. Otherwise, did you really think I'd agree to marry you so quickly? I recalled her cold, aloof demeanor when I first pursued her and grew furious. Then why did you act so indifferent to me at the start? Couldn't you tell I was just nervous? No, I couldn't. I was fuming, about to scold her, when she suddenly gripped my chin firmly and kissed me. Her tongue skillfully slipped inside, teasing the roof of my mouth and licking my lower lip until I nearly surrendered again. After who knows how long, dissatisfied with being dominated, I tried to flip her over, only to hear a strange, heated sound coming from the next room. I froze. Clara moved swiftly, pulling open the curtains. Then, Ruby and I locked eyes directly, with me pinned beneath Clara in an awkward position. And at that moment, Caleb, who had just been swearing he'd never forgive NM, was also pinned beneath Ruby in an odd pose, chest heaving, clearly irritated at being interrupted. Well, the sky's fallen. Clara and Ruby tactfully stepped out, leaving just the two of us. By all rights, I should have been the one feeling guilty, but who could blame me when my good buddy was even worse at pretending? So I cleared my throat and asked with feigned seriousness, when did this happen? Caleb scratched his nose. A few days ago. I suddenly realized my little sister actually loves me too. She's changed a lot. She's nicer to me now, says sweet things, and she talks a lot more. And you have no idea how good it sounds when she calls me baby. She even spends money on me. Sure, all my money goes to her, but the fact that she's willing to give some back shows she's generous and that she loves me. My throat tightened. That's something only a fool like you would say. But I wasn't focused on that. I seized the initiative. Well, I caught you. You're doing the laundry, and don't forget, that supercar of yours is coming to me. Caleb finally caught on and shot back, "Ha, you're quick to call me out. What about you? What's going on with you and my sister? Looks like it's been going on for a while, your neck's covered in marks." I said with righteous indignation, "That's from a mosquito bite, ha. I see your lip is chapped too, must be from a mosquito as well." In the end, I gave up struggling and honestly confessed the date. Clara and I reconciled. Caleb also came clean, truly birds of a feather, even making up on the same day. Caleb looked guilty, those socks. Clara appeared just in time. I pulled her hand and stirred the pot. "Your brother wants you to wash his socks for him." She glanced at Ruby and scoffed, "What kind of person is he? Can't the family afford a washing machine?" Ruby didn't argue either, placing both hands on Caleb's shoulders and leaning in. "Don't worry, Caleb, it's just a few socks. I'll buy you 8 or 10 washing machines, guaranteed to get them spotless." But Clara didn't back down, pecking my lips fiercely. "Don't worry, hubby, I'll give you money too from now on. You can wash whatever you want." Not long after, during a holiday, the 4 of us went night camping together. The clouds were thin, and Caleb and Ruby were playing tic-tac-toe not far away. Clara and I sat by the tent, leaning against each other. The mountain breeze was gentle and pleasant, the scent of insect repellent filling the air. I pursed my lips, staring at the stones by the river for a long while before asking her curiously, "Why did you decide to become a doctor? Saving lives and healing the wounded, it's such a cool thing." Even her smile carried an air of seriousness. Yet it reminded me of a news article I'd seen not long ago. A doctor who hadn't eaten or rested, all to ensure a patient's recovery, was stabbed by a family member of another patient, someone she had no connection to. The doctor cried for help in the hospital. How tragic. My heart suddenly clenched. What do you think the Aurora looks like right now? She was helping me with something, and with her free hand, she tossed her phone to me. "Look it up." That's when I discovered Clara's search history from months ago. What to do when husband is angry, how to increase intimacy with your partner, is the probability high for winning back an ex, how to make playing hard to get actually work. I couldn't help but laugh out loud at the questions I'd browsed countless times, all marked with asterisks by the system. I hugged her and kissed her fiercely, saying, "Clara, you're absolutely crazy about me." She paused, her dark, deep eyes filled with my smile, and didn't deny it. "Yeah, I'm crazy about you." My heart warmed. I handed her phone back and said seriously, "When I see the Aurora someday, I'll make a wish, for you to be safe and sound, and for there to be a few more good people in the world. Then I'll wish for us to be together forever, forever." The end.